That's James's breakfast of today with some cabbage juice. And that's mine. I think mine looks better because I made mine, I plated it just now. I'm gonna just conclude the Surrounded by Bad Bosses
Your review of it?
review.
Or it's more than a review. It's actually a correction, really.
Anyway, I was going to point out
it's
this
a much needed correction.
caramel macchiato donut.
Yeah.
And versus one of these waffles.
Yeah,
and
like what's a better breakfast? You know, like a coffee and a donut, or something like this is awesome.
Yeah, especially James's power juice with the
I'd better drink that first because it's always best to go from relatively sour to sweet.
Yeah.
This is cabbage juice. Cabbage juice isn't nearly as sour or as off-putting as many other things. I think about the worst is dandelion juice, dandelion leaf juice.
And then lettuce?
No, kale. And then lettuce. Lettuce is awful. You
awful.
Wouldn't believe. It might be worse than kale juice. So that, don't try this at all. Actually do. I don't know about lettuce. I don't know if it's got that much goodies in it, but kale juice is apparently very good for any variety of things that might be eating.
Well, it's really high in protein. So you drink a glass of kale juice and you get a lot of protein out of it. I've
it certainly
made
doesn't
up an
taste
Excel
that
sheet of various juices that I make for us regularly.
Yeah.
And but I can't remember. You'd have to go back in the blog videos to find it, because I haven't put out a book yet.
Yeah, like you're actually making sure you get stuff that's worth content that's worthy. I mean, so many people like popularizers and people like Erickson, they'll just rush out a volume and it's successful somehow or another, and then they keep on repeating the same formula with slight variations on the theme. Now, in his case, he actually has corrected. I mean, it really is correcting. It's not just changing stuff.
One thing I will say for him is I did not find a typo.
Okay, there's something to be said for that.
Yeah. And that was with the first book too, I think. I couldn't find a typo. So that's something. But anyway.
They had to order this one in for you, eh? The Crossings branch. It's the Lethbridge Public Library, but not the downtown.
Yeah, I just put it on hold. All right. Well, I guess I'm just having a fun time eating this.
Yeah. So then I'm going to my next most bitter thing, which is the grapefruit masquerading as an orange.
Yeah,
Pauline thought it was an orange when she went to peel it.
Well, it looks like an orange. And
on the outside.
On the inside, it kind of tastes half grapefruity, half orange.
Yeah, it's not nearly as bad as I thought.
It's not nearly as bad as I thought. I like it more than an orange or a grapefruit.
Wow, she doesn't like oranges. I
don't like
oranges.
either.
I'm not a big fan of grapefruit. It's something that I'll eat, and it's probably pretty healthy.
Yeah. Anyway, I would love to eat the rest of this without talking about that. But let's see if I can make 3 points really quickly. One, if you look on the inside cover,
a nice diagram.
It looks very pretty.
Yep.
But it's really meaningless. The color, the Marston, I think his name was, who came up with the disc method.
And he's the guy who came up with Wonder Woman and any variety of other, I think, relatively wonderful things. Yep.
He didn't have the colors. And the colors don't work. So, really, this is more of an external, and it's not right. The blue and the green should be reversed, but this is, and honestly, actually, the green and not the green and the blue, the green and the red should be reversed, and this is just
That's
a
possible.
physical.
Yep.
This is your physical response to color kind of thing, because red stimulates long muscles, and the workers work. The physical workers work. So their long muscles are stimulated. So that makes more sense for the physical workers, which he calls greens, to be red, actually.
It could be.
And I mean, you may say, oh, well, reds, that's an aggressive color, communism and fire and, volcanoes erupting and destroying everything. Well, at first I was thinking that too, but it's not necessarily an aggressive color.
Reds originally stood for
It's
socialists and revolutionaries. So originally it did stand for workers. I'm going to point that out.
Thank you.
It might have, even before socialism became big, represented radicalism, revolutionaryism.
And you may be looking at it thinking, like, especially if you're an aggressive ruler type, which that's what I call Thomas Erickson's Reds.
Yeah.
Then
he
you
calls
might
them
be
leaders, right, or something like that.
Well, he calls them Reds.
Yeah.
So, you might be thinking, oh, well, we work out a lot, and police officers, they really
Some
take
do.
pride in,
Yeah.
there's the
They usually let themselves go. fairly
donut
quickly.
shop sort of thing. But that's, honestly, yeah, eventually they will let themselves go, and you have somebody like Cartman, from South
Someone who
Park.
looks like
You
Cartman.
will respect my authority,
Yeah, looks and acts like,
We've all known people like Cartman.
Yeah, one we knew,
that
Pauline
are
and I
in
both knew, was a wannabe
leadership
cop,
positions, and they're just a joke. I mean,
Oh, I know who you're thinking about too. But
fat middleman.
Yes, exactly right.
Yeah.
But there's
Oh,
one
he's
guy who was a wannabe
unbelievable.
cop. Remember him?
Oh my gosh.
We're not going to
he's-
mention a name
no.
because at least he wasn't in a leadership position. I've been told he's become a cop.
But yeah,
Yeah.
they're
What he said to me one time was, I said, yeah, knowledge is power. And then he came up to, this is a wannabe cop. He came up to my head and pointed like this. This is my power.
yeah.
Yeah, and he's a cop now. So, and I am going to say, don't get the wrong impression. He was and is a person of color. So, I'm not going to mention
I gotta stop eating this because I want to eat it all because it's delicious. But I actually should be talking about this, and I meant to just give my 3 points.
Yeah.
So my first point: the color's wrong. Color's wrong. You did it wrong. And so anyway, the red color. The rulers might be thinking, oh, I work out a lot. So stimulate long muscles, whatever that works for me. You work out. And the yellows, as you call them, they'll often work out too. They'll be aerobics instructors or, jogging around on Main Street so everyone can see them. Look at me, I'm so fit. And
like
then
Brad
they fat
Pitt.
out.
Was
They
that
all
Brad,
fat
remember
out.
Brad Pitt in that one movie where he was playing aerobics instructor?
Yeah, that was awesome.
That's so
Yeah,
yellow.
that was so good.
Mm-hmm. Oh, he did a great job.
But yeah, eventually you see a middle age or sometimes a bit older, but anyway, eventually, usually by age 30 or something, they start chunking out.
Yeah, I
Not
saw
working
it
out so
happen
much,
with one
and-
guy who was very impressive when I worked at a cop shop. That was not my choice.
Because they don't work. They don't work, and so they're relying on working out to keep themselves in shape. They're above having to work to keep themselves in shape. I mean,
The average cop is a typical city worker or public employee. They don't actually, unless they're really screwed up, and there are a few of them, they don't want to be out there busting people's chops. It's too much
And-
like work.
well, nowadays, some of them might actually pay somebody to make them a meal like this. At their home, have some servant cooking for them.
They're
making
paid
them healthy
very
food.
well, you know, compared with their education and stuff like
So then they might be able to stay trim a little bit longer, when they might be able to pull it off if they're well enough off that they can afford to have a mother for themselves. They need a mother. They can't care for themselves properly. They will chunk out because they'll be eating too much restaurant food and stuff like that, and it's not healthy for them. They don't feed themselves. They don't work. So they will chunk out. Anyway.
I know one guy who didn't. He was on the SWAT team. He had a sense of humor. He was maybe the best target shooter on the whole force.
Yeah.
So I called him.
Maybe he had a mother at home.
Yeah. I'll explain that to you. But yeah, he had one.
Yeah.
But I called him Deadly Earnest.
Yeah.
Right? But he really wasn't that. He had a sense of humor and stuff. He teased me a little bit too much, so I teased him a little bit back, just a little bit, not a little bit too much. He teased me too much. I teased him a little back, and it was actually, you know, it's kind of like nice teasing because he thought, you know, he was a good shot and stuff like that. When I tease people, oftentimes I tease them about their strengths, you know, not about their weaknesses. But anyway, he has now become a bus driver after he retired. And he's maintained his weight. But, you know, he was trying to proselytize forks over knives to me.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's why.
And you've heard about that book. Yeah, I don't know if it's vegan. Is it vegan or just vegetarian? I'm not sure.
I think vegan.
But yeah, his wife was, and stepdaughter were the ones that got him into it. Mm-hmm. So I presume his wife cooks for him. But she had a job, independent job, I suspect. But at any rate, he's kept the weight up.
Well, good for him.
And there you go.
And
you know,
good for his wife.
Yeah, exactly right.
/ mother. So,
and maybe his stepdaughter too. You know?
Yeah, you can pull it off if you've managed to hire yourself a mother. You can keep the weight off. If you're Thomas Erickson's red or yellow.
I wouldn't call him, you know, he didn't go into management and stuff like that. He's just a bus driver. I wouldn't necessarily call him red.
I don't mind all reds. Like I was saying, I actually, both James and I, we consider ourselves law-abiding sort of citizens. We actually respect laws.
Well, you've seen how I drive, right?
Yes.
I obey what should be the rules in parking lots. You know, mm-hmm. I try to keep under 20 clicks, you know, that sort of stuff. I try not to cross where the parking grids are.
And a lot of reds actually like me. When it's not all of them. Well, that middleman didn't, because I didn't respect him, and there was nothing to respect.
I'm nothing to respect.
He was lazy,
fat head
stupid,
on a fat body,
and nasty. There was nothing good about him. He was collecting a wage as a negative. Mm-hmm. He wasn't even a zero.
He should have been paying his employer for the office space, you know, rent on it. Where to park his